Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me on the channel and on the podcast. I'm your host, Joey Love, and welcome back. Thank you for joining me on today for your AEW Fighter Fest Night 2 review. Was a solid show last night. No Moxley, no Brian Cage. Well, no Moxley first Brian Cage for the AEW World Title. Still, wasn't really much of a problem. And was really fun. Night 2 of AEW Fighter Fest. We had some good tag team action. We had a crazy 8-man tag between FTR, Young Bucks, Butcher and Blade, and Lucha Brothers. We had Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. We had the Dark Order versus SCU with Colt Cabana. And of course, we had another tag team title match. A bunch, of course, Lance Archer and Joey Janela. A bunch to go over, but thank you all for joining me. Sorry for this going up a little late. While I was getting lunch earlier, there was a big line, so I had to wait. But still, nonetheless, was pretty good. Got my notes right here with me. Also, we had news for Fight for Fallen next week, which is pretty good. For that, let's get into the review, shall we? So, the show started off with the only title match of the evening since Moxley first Cage tonight. However, we had Private Party versus Hangman and Omega to start the show. I was a little surprised because, the only title match of the evening, I thought maybe, now after thinking about it, it couldn't really have main evented the show or Five Fest Night 2 simply because of who Private Party is. They're still really young. And of course, Chris Jericho, of course, the wrestling world morally knows him. So after thinking about it, now it kind of makes sense. But the match was pretty good. I didn't enjoy it as much as Hangman and Omega First Best Friends last week. So it was pretty good. Obviously, Private Party earned this last week with their win over Santana Ortiz. Excuse me. But part of this match was double team on Mark Quinn. In the middle of the match, Mark Quinn and Hangman got knocked over the barricade. There was actually a dive over on Hangman on the outside by Isaiah Cassidy. There was actually a double Spanish fly on Hangman, on Omega by Private Party, which looked pretty okay. Kind of seemed like a botch there. And then there was a Hangman powerbomb for a 2 count. There was a flat line. Well, Hangman tried to go for the buckshot lariat, but it was countered by Isaiah Cassidy, and he countered it into like a slingshot, like flatliner from the ring to the ramp. Was pretty good spot. Then was a beautiful shooting star. I still think Mark Quinn has the best shooting star in the business. Shooting star by Quinn for a 2 count. And then Private Party went for gin juice, but it was countered by Hangman Omega. Hangman hit a beautiful powerbomb off the top rope. And then they hit the last call, and 1, 2, 3. Right outcome, I believe, for Hangman and Omega. They have done wonders so far with the tag team titles ever since being SCU back earlier in the year on Chris Jericho's cruise. It was, I kind of thought maybe best friends were going to win the titles, but obviously they're saving for a big match to get the titles off of Hangman Omega, because I believe eventually they gotta go their separate ways and get back into their singles route to add more to the singles picture, because there's some single stars like Brian Cage and Lance Archer and others that will be looking for top opponents in the future, and Hangman and Omega are kind of tied down with the tag team titles. So I believe they'll lose the titles maybe at All Out against who? I'm not sure. At first I thought maybe FTR, but I would imagine they're going to face Young Bucks at All Out. Maybe because next week it was announced for Fight for Fallen that Lucha Brothers are going to face FTR, and maybe at All Out, maybe you can build the Lucha Brothers back up, because Pentagon's been out due to restrictions. Maybe you can build the Lucha Brothers back up, and then Lucha Brothers can take the titles from Hangman Omega at All Out, and then, a heel turn is going to come from either Hangman or Omega, and you could really see it either way. Both kind of need a change in their character. So, Hangman, I don't think so. He's really over with his new little drinking gimmick. So, I'm not really sure, but that's my opinion. So, next we go from that to, speaking of Lance Archer, Lance Archer for Joey Janela. This is pretty fun. Obviously, one of the best parts of AEW is Lance Archer knocking out or destroying whoever, whether it's some schmuck in AEW or Jobber or whoever, in his entrance. That's one of the best parts of AEW, and this point, during his entrance, he actually came out with Sonny Kiss, who has been teaming with Janella as of late, threw him into the ring and beat down Kiss and Janella for prior to the match. So then they got into the match. Janella had some offense. He actually did a crossbody dive from top rope to the outside on Archer. Then he set up a table, so he obviously knew that was going to come in eventually in the match. He went for a chair spot, probably tried to dive with the chair through Archer on the table, but the referee stopped him, took the chair away, and then Archer got the advantage. Was pounced by Archer, went for the blackout the first time, but it was countered in like an elbow drop type position by Janela for a 2 count. And then at the end of the match, Janela hit like a big senton off the top rope, and then while Jake Roberts distracted the referee, Sonny Kiss hit a 450 splash off the top rope to Archer, and then Archer was almost pinned, was a near fall for 2 count. And then at the end of the match, like I said, the table is going to come into play. So Archer hit the blackout on Joey Janela, threw the table off the ring apron, and then rolled him back into the ring, and then pinned him 1, 2, 3. I mean, right outcome. It's so strange seeing how 1 year Joey Janela, last year at Fyter Fest, he main evented Fyter Fest last year against Jon Moxley in an unbelievable unsanctioned match. And then this year, well, it was still a pretty good match, but just the derailment of Joey Janela is just difficult. But I mean, I love Archer, definitely. He is one of the best things on the on AEW, and I would like to see him. I would have rather have seen Archer versus. Well, actually, I kind of take that back because, well, I mean, there's more history with Archer than Brian Cage. So, but I was going to say I would rather have seen Archer versus Moxley, but you know that whoever was going to face Moxley was going to lose, and then eventually whether it's MJF or someone else that takes the title from Moxley, that's when someone's going to take the title from Moxley. So I'm not really too upset, but I wonder where Archer is going to go. I mean, he has been on AEW Dark, but not a lot of people watch AEW Dark as much as they watch AEW Dynamite. So where does Archer go from here? I'm not sure, but kind of hit the reset button, I would say. So we'll see where he goes from here. So afterwards was a little vignette of Darby Alan. Darby, he looked like he was in like some sort of playground type venue. He was talked about Brian Cage, says he's not done with Brian Cage since he put him out. And so he apparently, as Darby Allin does in Darby Allin fashion, he practiced coffin drops and like this like playground like area. He did a coffin drop off almost a crane-like structure into like this pit of like I wouldn't want to say like those like puzzle pieces, those like soft little pieces that Darby Allin sees like the new Jeff Hardy of AEW. So when it comes to risk taking, that's it. But just fun. So speaking of Brian Cage, next comes out Brian Cage and Taz. Taz had a huge announcement. He had a black bag. He was talking about how next week, he had to wait till next week for Brian Cage to dismantle Moxley. So they'll do that next week. But he awarded the FTW title that Taz made and awarded it to Cage. to give them momentum for next week. Now, I mean, we have the AEW World title, check. We have the tag team titles, check. We have the women's title, check. We have a mid-card title, technically in the TNT title, even though in the rankings they're ranked side by side with the AEW World title, but still that's a check. Now, this FTW title, it doesn't seem like it would be a fit. I mean, considering we have all the titles we really need in AEW, so I don't think. I hope it's not a mainstay, but we'll see where this goes. Probably get more elaboration on this title next week, so we'll see about that. Like I said, this Amen tag was crazy between the Lucha Brothers, Butcher and Blade versus the Young Bucks and FTR. This made you realize that, oh crap, it's real. Once, why? Because start match, it was FTR and the Lucha Brothers squaring off, exchanging with one another, and it really sunk in if you're a fan of tag team wrestling, like, oh crap. Now, well, you've seen FTR in the ring with the Young Bucks, just not in a match. You've seen them put up quality matches with Butcher and Blade and SCU. Now they're in the rings with the Lucha Brothers, who, in my opinion, are the best tag team in the world. It just made you realize, like, oh crap, these teams are really together. So that kind of sunk in for me at the start match. So that was cool. And then, like I said, this is crazy. It didn't really pick up till like the end of the match. There was a nice top rope Hurricanrana from Nick Jackson to Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix, I'll get to in a sec. They were grounding Cash Wheeler, who made the hot tag to Matt, who did dive on the Butcher and Blade on the outside. And then FTR and Young Bucks were exchanging kind of finishers, but exchanging partners in the way, like Cash would be with like Matt of the Young Bucks doing the Goodnight Express, or it would be Dax and Nick doing Spike Pile Driver. I mean, just interesting little dynamic. And then, so this is where it really picked off. All the members of the Young Bucks and FTR were tagging each other. They hit a double top rope superplex. They hit a... Excuse me. I had a little brain fart. But they hit a big splash on top rope. And then Nick hit a swanton or senton for a near fall, which Phoenix just came out of nowhere, dived off the top rope into the Young Bucks and pushed the pile, and was a 2 count. And then next thing you know, Phoenix, who is not human, he hit a slingshot or a springboard slingshot to the outside, Canadian Destroyer, on Mac Jackson onto everyone else on the outside. That was crazy. And then there was miscommunication. Matt Jackson, he super kicked accidentally Dax Harwood, and the Lucha Brothers hit a doubles driver, pile driver like modification, and on Matt for the win. Good to see the Lucha Brothers back, and they get a win. You could say that the Young Bucks and the FTR, while they lost, they looked great in defeat. That's what you love. And next week we get FTR and the Lucha Brothers. I mean, tag team wrestling is on a roll. I'm curious where the Young Bucks possibly could make a entrance next week in the match. I mean, we'll see if they get involved. I'm not sure, but as they're little building between the match between FTR and Young Bucks, it's gonna be great. We're gonna have fans back, and assuming we have that match with fans back at All Out, that's gonna be crazy. So then we go from that to Big Swole. This is kind of odd because it was a night and Alex Marvez stopped Big Swole from getting into the arena and basically handed him and official of AEW or a lady of AEW handed her a note basically telling her that she's been suspended due to her actions against Britt Baker. So this kind of odd, but it was what it was. And I mean, they're clearly building the feud between Big Swole and Britt Baker, as Britt Baker's number one feud when she gets back healthy. So, but this is okay, I guess. I mean, some might crap on it because, of course, it was at night instead of, say, during the day before the event. But, I mean, building the story, I guess, is okay. So we go from that to handicap match, Nyla Rose versus Kenzie Page and Colin King. This was pretty much squash. I mean, Nyla Rose, she's 9-2 in her AEW record, which is good. She's a number one contender. Clearly, they're still keeping her strong in the hunt. So this was short. She hit a powerbomb one of the girls onto the other and pinned them both for the win. Afterwards, she announced that she hired a manager to help propel her back into as AEW World Women's Champion. And she stared down Sheeta. I don't know who it will be, but should be interesting as to who Nyla Rose manager is, because obviously Nyla Rose is a force. She isn't bad on the mic. She's pretty well. So I don't think she would really need a mouse. Excuse me. Yeah. Brain fart again. But I don't think she needs a mouthpiece. There you go. she just needs, I guess, someone to help add the extra edge to her character and push her over the top. Where do they go with the AEW women's title picture going all out? I think I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Maybe a triple threat between Penelope Ford, Sheeta, and Nyla Rose. If you want to keep Sheeta strong, that's my suggestion for All Out. But we'll see what happens. After that, we cut to Colt Cabana, who is apparently in the training room. Had bruises around his ribs. The trainer talked to Brody Lee, saying that despite these bruisings, that he'll still be able to compete. And afterwards, Brody Lee came in and basically told him he expects him still to compete in the match tonight against SCU. So then Colt Cabana came up and basically told him, yes, Mr. Brody Lee. So then after, we had Dark Order versus SCU. Representing Dark Order was Mr. Brody Lee and Stu Grayson with Colt Cabana. The rest of Dark Order were on the stage watching the match. 10, 5, Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silvers. Against SCU, Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, and Frank Kazarian. This is pretty good. There's a bit. Stu Grayson. We haven't seen him and Evil Uno in a long time, but he's pretty underrated, I would say. And he pretty much was the shining star of this whole match. He had a big splash on Scorpio Sky for a 2 count. Was a tornado DT by Kaz for a 1 count on Brody Lee. Then at the end of the match, Brody hit the discus lariat on Daniels and told Stu Grayson to allow Colt Cabana to come in and pin Daniels for the win. I mean, pretty good. As we know that if you've seen on Dark, that SCU, the tag team, is going to be Daniels and Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky is going to be a singles competitor. Still coming back. This was an okay match. Does this lead to either a match with Brody Lee and Colt Cabana, or Colt Cabana join the Dark Order? I mean, we'll have to see how it goes. You can kind of see, but I would rather see a match out of them two instead of Colt Cabana joining, because I think A, he doesn't really fit, and B, the Dark Order already have a lot of members, so I think they would be overflowing the Dark Order maybe. Because Colt Cabana is that jolly type of guy. He's not really built for the Dark Order, so we'll see. So afterwards, they announced that for Fight for Fallen next week, that confirmation: Lucha Brothers versus FTR, Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Lamarco Stunt versus the Elite, Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. Another open challenge for the TNT Championship for Cody Rhodes. Confirmed all next week. Of course, we got Brian Cage versus Jon Moxley as well. So that's good. Afterwards, we got the main event for night 2. Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. Now, we could see that Orange Cassidy, he was a bit more serious coming this match after all that's come aspired brewing towards the match when Cassidy got hit with those bag of oranges and getting beat down by Jericho. Then, of course, the Brawl a couple weeks ago. So this was pretty good. I'm not quite sure if it was good as Orange Cassidy versus Pac, but so this was really good for Orange Cassidy. Cassidy was still able to do a shtick, but it was, of course, more serious, and we know he could go. And Chris Jericho can tell a story as good as anybody. So Cassidy was taking it to Jericho at the start. Also note, he told the best friends who accompanied him that he wanted to go at this alone. And Chris Jericho, he had Floyd the Bat with him. He had Santana Ortiz with him, who had orange juice. And of course, because Hager's suspended, and as well as Sammy Guevara. So, of course, only Santana Ortiz can accompany Jericho, but still, it was a nice touch. They were drinking orange juice. I like that. So, like I said, Orange Cassidy was taken to Jericho early. It was quick walls of Jericho by Jericho, but Cassidy got out. And then at the end of the match, because they were going back and forth, Orange Cassidy, of course, his usual super kicks. And then instead of going low, he faked out Jericho and went high for a really impactful super kick that I think would make Shawn Michaels proud. And that was good for a 2 count. It even caught me off guard. So then Cassidy, he did his top rope splash, but with a little more triumph into it, a little more oomph in it for a 2 count. He did diving DT as well. Cassidy. So after Cassidy was in the walls of Jericho, and Jericho let go, actually she was looking. She caught out the corner of her eye. Like I said, Santana Ortiz, they both had orange juice. They threw the orange juice into Orange Cassidy's face. And the best friends came out and attacked Santana Ortiz to try to even the odds because they saw enough. Then while Aubrey was distracted, Jericho hit Orange Cassidy with the bat, or with Floyd, and hit the cold breaker on Orange Cassidy for a 2 count. Then Cassidy hit a Michinoku driver for 2 count, and then while Orange Cassidy was going for a signature Superman punch, that is the best in the business, better than Roman's, he got caught with the juice effect by Jericho for the win. Cassidy, he may have lost, but he has looked better than ever. Just Orange Cassidy has looked really good when he wants to. Yes, his gimmick, he's very lazy, but he knows how to get done. And Jericho, kudos Jericho for letting it be selling for Orange Cassidy and making it look more like a star for Orange Cassidy. Can't take it away. For Cassidy, can't wait to see where he goes. What's the next for Orange Cassidy? But he's just been one of the better things of AEW and pro wrestling as a whole as of late. So that was a pro wrestling review of AEW Fyter Fest Night 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, a lot came over despite not having Moxley first cage, and instead we got the tag team title match. Still, in my opinion, wasn't a big deal because we're getting it next week. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Ooh, I hit the microphone. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll be back tomorrow, obviously, with NXT Great American Bash Night 2 review. Yes, you guys may have seen the results spoiled, but still, I'll go through it all. And hope you guys are having a good day. I'll see you guys all tomorrow for Great American Bash Night 2.